Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Happy Green Day. This is so nice. A Monday that's green. Weird. Feels kind of odd, but it's good. Bitcoin has a ton of volume flowing in, and there's a good chance if it doesn't pull back to fill its CME gap, we're just going to see it continue to the 90K range. So distinct probability that we're mostly back on track. We've broken our descending trend line, and if we close above the 85 to 86K range today, a solid chance we're going to see a continuation, and that would translate to most altcoins too. Keep in mind, our previous resistance range of roughly 135 to 140 should work as a new support. So if we do end up seeing this guy come into play, it's a good area of consideration. 135 to 140 is a rough estimate for a long. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some liquidation data, kind of see what's going on. While we get this to load, I want to say thank you so much for being an amazing part of my life. Deeply appreciate you watching and hitting the like buttons down below. Congrats to our committee for some nice profits on Near Protocol, 56% and 27% from our ETH long from late last week. So what we want to look at first is to understand heavy concentrations of liquidation. You can't see anything here locally in the last 7 days because it's all been swept. That's awesome. Obviously, there's 125 at this point for a potential lower range, but I think we're mostly in the clear based on us breaking free from this significant channel. So if you look, you can see there was a channel between 120 and roughly 140. Heavy amount of averaging in, so to speak, and the price is now broken its descending trend. We'll talk about that in a minute, but the next area of concentration for liquidation is roughly 154. That goes back to our previous high, roughly from the 7th of March, right in there. Okay, so if we take a look here, we can see liquidation delta is pretty high. This is good. You don't want to short into this. This means a lot of volume is flowing into the coin. The odds of the price just pulling back or ripping back is pretty low. I think natural corrections make sense. We're probably going to see somewhat of a capitulation, 140, 135 maybe, but at this point, it seems pretty obvious that the tentative, the top is essentially broken, and the new low, which hasn't been retested yet, is that 135 to 140 range. I'll show you on the charts, a little easier to see, but we can see open interest, ton of averaging in over the weekend at 129. And then once more, a pretty significant chunk of volume right there at about 134. So those are some support ranges for us. All right, so let's go ahead and remove a couple of things here. I'll clean up the charts. And if you're watching this video, the playout chart will already be available on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. So it's all there for you if you're curious. Also, be sure to check out Bitunix, folks. Awesome deposit reward bonus. No KYC or VPN required. These guys are phenomenal. It's our community favorite. So let's take a look here at the daily time frame and kind of see where we're at. And just recognize, first of all, we had this bit of a breakout here, and the likelihood of further downside is lower, but I also think immediate upside is low too, because you look at this here, we look at our previous point of control back from February 24th, we had almost like a 10 to 15 day or 10 to 12 day stint where the price action had difficulty breaking 143. If you remember that number, it was pretty consistent. I said it a lot during that time. But we can see that our first test of that resistance range, so to speak, previous support range. Okay? And that's highlighted here with our point of control. That's basically our open interest for the last month in that range. Having said that, it's normal and natural for the price to pull back at those levels. So wouldn't be surprised we see a little bit of a pullback. It's also super common to see previous highs retested as new lows. Okay? So I think there's a distinct probability we'll see a pullback here, just a natural correction, but it's hard to say, honestly. I mean, the price could really increase here. We got a decent amount of volume flowing in here so far today. When we look at our moving averages, we've broken our descending trend line here too, which basically implies that we're above the 20-day SMA, looking pretty strong. Okay? Same thing as well. We're right here at 50 in the RSI. Getting above that is super huge. Bitcoin is now above its RSI at 50, which is a strong resistance level. Generally speaking, that's typically a macro resistance. You can see here, Bitcoin hasn't been above that level since February 1st, which is roughly when we broke sub 106,000 for Bitcoin. So overall, this is a good sign here, kind of letting us know that we're mostly back. As you can see previously, though, we've seen some fake outs. So it doesn't mean you just go balls to the wall because we're over that level. But money flow index is increasing. Basically implies we're seeing a significant amount of volume flowing in at this lower range of 120 to 140, and the likelihood of sustainability of this area is pretty high. So those are all things I like to look for when I consider long positions. Take a look here at the 4-hour time frame. We can recognize a very similar scenario here. We're above the 20 and the 50-day SMA. Fantastic. Now, we were above that level over the weekend, and I urged caution to take it long, with good reason, by the way, because we hadn't broken our descending trend, and we had low volume over the weekend. You don't really trust weekend behavior. Having said that, though, now that we've started the week off here strong, it doesn't mean you just take a long at the top at 143, tentative top, right? It does imply, though, if you are bullish in this coin, which everything seems to be pretty bullish right now, you may want to get some skin in the game and essentially average in if the price pulls back to fill its local fair value gaps, which are reflected here, 133 upwards, about 142. So to me, it makes sense for the price to pull back and to catch that next leg down, that next leg up, rather, as it legs down just one more time. Hypothetically, we should see something like this. It's not a guarantee, though, folks. You got to keep that in mind. That's why sometimes getting some skin in the game is a good call. And what I mean by that is just take a small position with low leverage if you're into that, and then consider adding to your margin as the price comes down. That's kind of how it works. I would avoid cross margin, of course, but isolated, probably the best way to go there. Having said that, we're up over 70 on the RSI. This is generally a favorable sign, shooting the price higher or implying the price is going to continue further up. So I don't love to buy these kind of breakouts personally. I like to buy the retest, but you got to recognize, folks, the retest may not happen now that we've kind of broken tentatively bullish. And I want to emphasize the word tentative because you can see here we're overextended on smaller time frames. So capitulation, natural pulling back, or pullbacks are essentially a very normal thing. So to me personally, this 135 to 140 seems like a sweet spot there where I may consider averaging into a long position. Between now and then, though, everything is truly bullish and there's no other way around it. Just be careful FOMOing into the top. I just always got to kind of recommend being cautious with that, because this market has consistently destroyed any type of breakouts. So this is the first breakout that's actually appears to be sustainable based on the macro trend being broken. Okay, so those are just things I like to look for. Make sure you, again, check out our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you're not familiar. Links down below for that. And if you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is the site, link down below. We're all having a good time together. We have an awesome Discord. Regardless of if you want to become a member, jump on over there either way. I look forward to working with you. Have yourself a great rest of the day. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Take care.